Hi everybody, how's it going? We are here with a general and timeless reading. My name is Gabriella. For anybody new tuning in, welcome to the channel. Before we get started, let's set the intention for this to be a space where everyone allows themselves to feel seen and validated, and ultimately for this to be a safe space and a healing space in alignment with everyone's highest good. And so I'm seeing that there's been some sort of like tricky development that's been happening, but it looks like to have the Chariot, it really shows you being able to move through the challenges that you're facing. It looks like there's somebody else involved, at least one other person. There's at least one other person involved in this process. I'm seeing it also be associated with something new that you're doing. So, sorry about that. So this could be like a new chapter that you're beginning with this person, or just a new era with them, something of that nature. You know also too how things can be hard when you're first beginning them, where it like takes time, there's that adjustment period that's needed. It can be something like that is going on here. Okay, yeah. It's like trying to figure out like what feels right as far as like who's showing up, when and where, and what you're doing and what I'm doing, and how can we make that work together so everybody kind of feels like the other person is making the appropriate amount of effort, and talking about like expectations and explaining it and working with the other person, you know, all of the stuff that makes for a good collaboration, and it seems a good relationship as well, right? Four of Wands is about being in a space with somebody where there can be like a commitment that you've made with this person. You guys are working together now. It feels very official. Four of Wands is being in a place where there's a focus on you guys being in a stable unit with one another. Fours talk about stability. The Four of Wands speaks about harmony that you're feeling with this person. So finding that balance between the two of you and working together as a unit. Okay, Six of Cups on the bottom of the deck. For some of you, you've been with this person for a long time. For some of you, you've known this person for a long time. For some of you, you were in a relationship with them in the past. I'm seeing you like want it to be like it was before. So that may be something that you're trying to reestablish. Like maybe wanting to pull something from the past and bring it into the present. Try to pull it through time zones. I'm seeing a ginkgo leaf here. Okay, we have the Death card. Death card feels like a moment where, like, whatever this relationship was in the past, when it hits the portal of the Death card, it means that whatever this was before, there's like a dissolution of that. And so it kind of falls back down to like the bare bones of the situation. This means too that it's creating room for growth as well with the Death card. Death card is about transition. It's about surrendering as well. And so however it was that you had known this relationship in the past, it is going through a very different process now where it is going to appear maybe as something completely new and completely different on the other side of this. I saw 400 when I looked up. So you may be working through, like, what does this relationship look like now? Like, what does this mean now? What does this mean for me? What does this mean for you? What does this mean for both of us? Some of you could be dealing with somebody that's going through a really big change within their marriage. Death card can also mean a separation as well. I'm also hearing divorce. 8th house does rule divorce. And Scorpio is associated with the 8th house. This change that's been occurring, it's been being worked through, and it is leading to a new opening for sure. So Death card is like, we have to surrender to the situation. We can't proceed anymore the way that we are. And so letting go of what needs to be shed. Before, in this relationship, before you hit the Death card, you could have continuously been trying to go down expired routes. And so the Death card is about like creating new routes, even though that can feel very uncomfortable, right? Because with the Death card, it's coming through and like knocking your ego around, where you're like, I like what I know and I'm comfortable in it, even if it's dysfunctional. And the Death card's like, that's not going to work anymore. And so whatever ends up happening with you and this person, whether like the relationship is changing and it's going to be very different, it's going to be like a whole new relationship, or you guys are going your separate ways, or you're getting a divorce, like whatever this is that's happening here, it's not going to be the same as it was before. And that is the whole point. There's this like needing to surrender to the situation, which means getting out of the way and letting things happen as they're meant to, rather than forcing it to be something it's not. So this is about moving with the flow of things, karmically speaking. 8 of Pentacles here means that there is a lot of energy and effort being put into the change that is happening, being put into the growing and alternating energy that's unfolding. Also, I'm seeing this leading towards the Fool. So this means that it's leading towards a portal that is going. Interesting that we keep saying portal. It's leading towards a portal that is going to be different than what you're used to. Fool is about exploring something where it's not very familiar to you. And so the Death card and Uranus being together, Scorpio and Uranus being together, it makes sense that it would be here. Because in order for you to get to this place where things feel new and the slate can be wiped clean, you have to surrender to the situation and allow it to change and transform as it's meant to allow it to continue growing. Because before, you could have been trying to like truncate this relationship in a space where it no longer belonged. And so this is you breaking down the walls to allow it to grow into what it's meant to grow and transition into now, and allowing it to change form as it will. And so this, having the Death card here, this situation could have really like had you feeling desperate as you're moving through this. Like, everything's changing around me. This feels very hard. Death card can be a very tumultuous energy too, especially when we're fighting the change. But I'm seeing something that you're like, you know what, it's going in this direction. I'm going to try to do my best to work with it. And now we open up into the energy of the Fool, which is kind of you being pulled off of the planet you were on before with this person and plopped down on a new planet, and you're looking all around you being like, what is this now? So you may be in a space of discovering, like, because that establishment no longer stands anymore, because those 4 walls no longer stand anymore, and they've been knocked down, you get to sort of like rediscover and re-explore now. And so that's where I'm seeing you be. Yeah. It's kind of like you recognize what it was with this person in a past life, and now you're in the current life with this person, seeing like, what does this mean now that we've let go of the past life energy? Like, what do you mean to me? What's the purpose of this? You may be trying to make something happen that's not going to work. Not to be like that, but I was seeing the 7 of Swords, which means somebody may be doing something that they have not disclosed yet for a particular reason. Something that could potentially change things. Okay, so we are looking at the Knight of Pentacles, which means... Interesting. Okay. I was not expecting that at all. That took a very different turn. Well, with Uranus here, I guess that makes sense too. Uranus, when it's activated, can do things. I see Uranus as kind of like a tower energy, where you were going one way and you thought that you'd be like going in that direction, and then all of a sudden you get thrown like 90 degrees in the other direction. And you end up really changing pace. And now you're going to a whole new location, but it wasn't what you thought. So what I'm seeing is that we like play back the story, okay, where you're plopped into the new land and you're like looking around, looking at the trees and the new terrain and everything like that. And somebody comes through and they make an offer. But what I'm seeing is that as much as this could have been an offer to breathe something new into a situation, I'm also seeing it actually go hand in hand with an ending. So somebody could have been like making some, okay, it can go one of two ways, right? This can be somebody coming through and making an offer, which makes it official that something else is coming to an end. So this can be like somebody on the outside coming through and being like, hey, I want to make this offer to you. And you're like, that's a better route. And so you go down that way, which means that whatever this relationship was before, this fully comes to a full stop. Okay. This also can mean that somebody is coming through, like the other alternative is somebody coming through and being like, hey, I think we should end this. I'm proposing that we end this because something about this should not be continuing anymore. And so because somebody has gotten into a space where they have fresh eyes, being able to see things, because being in the space of the Fool, it's like, it's the zero. It's you being at the very beginning of a journey with completely fresh eyes, a fresh perspective. Like there's hope and there's faith and there's optimism of like the world is mine again and my life is mine again and I am the creator and I can make it be whatever I want. So there's no more feeling all of those strings karmically that tie you down to a situation that take away your autonomy. This is you breaking out of that. That's what Uranus is about. It's about your independence. And it's also about you doing things in a way that feel right for you, even if socially it may be a bit abnormal. So anyway, this thing happens where your eyes have opened again in a fresh perspective and somebody proposes, hey, I think that we should bring whatever's been going on that is unnecessary and that's really bringing me down. We're going to bring this to an end. That's what I think should happen here. So somebody's saying, hey, this should be final. I'm also seeing, though, the Hanged Man popping up, too, which can mean that everything is not as it appears. It means, too, that something could have been, this decision could have been delayed. Somebody could have proposed, hey, we should end things, but then having the Hanged Man here, something could have been delayed, so it didn't allow that to fully complete itself. Neptune can be a very tricky energy that comes through. Like, I see Neptune being as tricky as Mercury with things that we're getting into. Something could have been delayed because of resources or family structures. Someone's job, too. Commitments as well. Having the Hanged Man here means, too, that the way somebody previously could have been seeing the Ten of Swords, which can be like pain and ending, and this is really difficult, and I don't know how I'm ever going to get up from this, you know, like this person is here pinned, being like, I'm never going to bounce back from this situation. Having the Hanged Man is about adopting a new perspective about this. Being like, oh, I realized that it was supposed to end and that this is actually exactly what was supposed to happen, rather than being resistant to this. Rather than being resistant to change, it's allowing for the necessary growth and allowing you to continue your journey rather than being like, okay, my story ends here, you know? So the Hanged Man is about like gaining an epiphany, having a wider understanding, a more zoomed out perspective of why things needed to end, why this was necessary, why it's actually exactly what was supposed to happen. But that may not have initially been the perspective. Neptune is also about gaining like a spiritual understanding as well. Like in the 3D, on that plane, you could have been seeing things in one way. As you bump up higher on the planes, you transcend. This is about transcending that perspective and seeing it as it really is, rather than just as your ego wants it to be. And as soon as that happens, I'm seeing luck come your way with the Wheel of Fortune. And both of these cards too, Neptune and Jupiter, it's about the zoomed out perspective and being able to see things outside of your ego. Outside of just what you want or what you think you want. In like the ignorance of the ego. I'm seeing also you understand this divine unfolding that's been happening, but it's only after your perspective shifts. Because if you had been seeing things in the same old way, like these thoughts and this understanding would not have occurred to you. For some of you too, you could have had somebody that was like already involved in something, in some sort of commitment, coming through trying to give you something, and things came to an end because of that, because you were like, I'm not getting involved in that. Like you already have something going on. But for some of you, somebody did have something going on and they were like still reaching out to you. But with the Death card, it means like accepting the ending of this situation and working through gaining a new perspective. I'm definitely seeing like a different energy come through here now. Like somebody else's different storyline is coming through. You may have had somebody that was married or dealing with a marriage, but regardless of what was going on with it, they were still tied to this person. They were coming through making an offer to you, but I'm seeing it end because of what they were still tied to. Committed to, like whether they were presently actively participating in it or not, like there were definitely karmic ties still with that person where they were still in a room with them energetically, and they may have sort of branched out and been like, hey, what's going on, you know, trying to connect with you. But to have the Death card and the Ten of Swords here, you would have been like, nah, I'm not going to do that. And then to have this Eight of Pentacles and the Hanged Man, it's like working so hard to understand from a zoomed out perspective, from a higher perspective, like why did this take place? Why was I involved in this? Karmically, like what was I meant to understand through this situation? And how is it meant to allow me to continue growing as well? What was in here for me? Neptune is also being able to, so Neptune, right, speaks about unconditional love. It's the higher octave of Venus. And so when we connect with Neptune, we have love for the situations that we're in, but it's only after we move through a space of acceptance of what has happened that allows us to transcend to a perspective of love and allows us to have this moment of like, let me see what's next to come and where the universe is guiding me now. So it kind of could have felt a bit like an incomplete mission, whatever was going on with you and this person. And now through this personal work that you're doing with you and yourself, it's allowing you to get to a place where you're understanding, like now you're starting a new journey and kind of getting connected with the road guide that you're being handed of where you're meant to be going now energetically. Like what cycle are you supposed to be starting right now? But it took you completely severing ties from this situation in order for you to gain this understanding and to continue with your journey. Otherwise, it would have been something you just dragging along behind you, like Santa Claus with the gifts, you know, but all of your karma in there and the karmic ties that you're moving along with. This allows you to drop all of that and feel a lot lighter on your feet energetically, you know, where you have like the vigor to move through this now. It's like getting back in touch with your sense of magic. I'm seeing this person is not going to want to see you go. You're going to have to be like, get off me. I'm moving into this. It's definitely going to be a thing. Like, they see something within you that they're connecting with, but I'm seeing you're really gonna have to, like, lay down the law with this person and be like, I'm moving on. For those of you that are moving on from this situation. I'm hearing Taurus. We also have Scorpio, Neptune, Uranus, and Jupiter here. Yeah, look. You're like, I'm doing this for me. This is for me. This is what I'm interested in. I saw 2044 on the time when I looked up. This is something that you want to do, that speaks to you, that is genuinely something intriguing and interesting to you, that you want to put your energy in this direction. There may also be a bit of self-discovery with you moving this way too. It's something for you to get involved in that you actually feel is engaging for you. This feels, it's not random, but this feels like a specific message. Some of you, you're going to be going foraging. I'm seeing mushrooms and stuff here. Or like being out in nature. You could go camping or something like that. I'm actually seeing like an expanse of fields. You could be traveling somewhere too. Yeah, okay, so this person that came through, right? I guess we're continuing with this. The guides are like, the spread isn't over yet. What are you doing? Don't cut the scene here. Okay, so let's keep moving with this, actually. So, right, this person that came through that was still committed, I'm just gonna like use a very specific example because some of you it's like legitimately like this. For others of you, see this more as a metaphor of what's been going on with the energy. Somebody was married, right? And they were still committed to this marriage or still karmically tied to this marriage and came through and made some sort of offer to you or gesture towards you about like, hey, you want to start this thing? Trying to get you involved in something. It doesn't have to be a marriage. It can be like somebody living with somebody or being in a relationship with them where they're like commitments, okay? And somebody coming through and being like, I know that I have like this, I'm hearing ball and chain. I feel like that's so rude. Somebody still has stuff that they're tied to, right? And again, like they're coming through making an offer, being like, hey, you want to go in this direction with me? I know I'm like Santa Claus here, but like bring all my stuff behind me. But hey, are you interested? And like this is somebody that catches your attention. Otherwise, the Page of Wands wouldn't be here. Like this is somebody that would be intriguing to you. But to have the Death card and the Ten of Swords, this is like a major ending. I'm hearing exciser. This is something that would have felt like really painful. That you went through where like maybe you weren't ready for this type of change or development. Nonetheless, there's like no running or hiding from this. It's like a complete wipeout energy. And you were like, okay, well, through this devastating pain, I'm going to start working on myself more. Like, what do I need for me? And I'm seeing this as like a journey that you've been continuing on for yourself of as you continue doing this personal work with you and yourself, committing to yourself, working with yourself, working on yourself, the journey within and all of that, and showing up for yourself in the way that you needed, that maybe other people didn't. There's also something here that's very important with these two energies that you're working with. This can be mental health stuff. This can be the borderline between mental health and spirituality. These are the ways that Neptune fools us. These are the ways that we can have delusional thinking of something is gonna work out, you know, and it's just like magical thinking within a situation where it's never really gonna be like that. But with Neptune here, Neptune's like, if you want to believe the lie, you can, like, just believe the lie, you know. That's the tricky thing with Neptune, is that, like, if you don't want the truth, Neptune will happily feed you something else. And to have this here, this is like, ooh, somebody's not being honest with me, but because I'd rather believe they're telling me the truth, I'm just gonna go with that, even though your intuition is like, that's not what's up. So this is all about you wanting the truth above anything else, and that's what leads you to this space where you have that transcendent perspective, where you actually get the truth. But you have to want the truth above all to actually get the truth within a situation, you know? But yeah, you could have been thinking like, yeah, I'm going to go on this trip and I'm going to do that thing, you know, it's going to be great. But having this is your guides being like, double check that and double, like, look over everything, you know? You really want to be using your discernment here, because you could have been like really buying into this situation, having somebody like tell you all this stuff that you want to hear, and it's like all a lie, really. To have this, you probably have a Neptune contact with this person, and the person that plays Neptune within the contact, it can be very, very deceptive. And why it's deceptive is that Neptune will mirror. Neptune's like, tell me your fantasies, and then changes into exactly that. And that's really how it goes with a Neptune contact. So somebody's just mirroring exactly what you're trying to see. And so, of course, you're going to fall in love with that. You know, it's mirroring everything exactly how you want to see it. But it's not true. It's not real. It's an illusion. And your intuition tells you that, like, hey, something isn't right here. Something's going on here. And this ultimately, like, forget this other person. This other person is just an agent to help you learn this process. This is really about you with yourself, learning to trust yourself, learning to trust your intuition, and moving to a space where truth and reality matters to you and is important above just a fantasy of what your ego wants within a situation. And this is not easy work to do, because if there's like any part of you that does not want to accept reality for what it is going to cling to this mirrored reflection that's being shown to you. And this person will come through every time looking exactly like the fantasy you wanted to see, telling you exactly what you wanted to hear. But again, it's not real. There's something else going on behind it. And the thing that can be like really devastating too when we have Neptune contacts with someone is that eventually it does rub off. It doesn't stay like that forever. Like, the perfect illusion is temporary. And so then we end up like waking up. I'm hearing to the system. It's like realizing like the activating force and what's really been going on here. And then you're like, wow, I was just in a simulation the whole time. Like, can't believe I spent all my time doing this. I feel like we just went down a rabbit hole. You may be in a space where you really like how this person makes you feel, and so you're not ready to let go of it yet. And there's nothing wrong with that, you know? There's no right or wrong here. It's just what you want to do. We are just here to inform you of what's going on. I'm seeing you kind of maybe like rethinking things a little bit with the Two of Pentacles. Like, you may be really looking into where you are investing your resources, your time, your energy, can be your money, your mental focus. You are very attracted to this person, but I'm seeing them be characterized as the Knight of Wands. This is like, as much as you want to try to build something with them, they're playing. But that doesn't mean that you don't have chemistry with them, you know? Knight of Wands is very cute, very charming, very sweet. Somebody that's fun, somebody that you like the compliments they give you, and you feel good when you're around them. And they have like all of the good feelings there. However, they're going to be somebody that you can't really build a future with. They're unreliable. They'll tell you what you want to hear. And it can be fun, but it's not something you're going to be able to build a life with because they are not committed. They're committed to themselves, and they're committed to having fun and doing what's convenient for them. And so it's not a stable type of energy that's reliable. It's like somebody that will be around to have a good time, but when things get really tough, you're not going to be able to rely on them to be there, which for those of you that don't care about that, then it doesn't matter. But you have to be honest with yourself about your values and what you're looking for. 30-30 on the time. All right, my friends, we are going to leave the reading here. I'm hearing D names, and I'm also hearing Duncan. I'd like to thank everybody for tuning in, for connecting. I'm wishing everybody, I'm hearing Dunham. I will catch you guys next time.